Hello. Hey everyone, Jeff here, also known as the Revit Kid. Welcome to a new episode of BIM After Dark Live. This is episode 56, believe it or not, which is pretty wild. I took a little break. For those of you that have been following along, you may know I had a baby, baby number 2, and so we took a little break off here, and we're back. And I'm super excited to be back. I have to say, I missed you guys. So thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about shared parameters. Not to mention just talking about them. I want to keep it in the context of just understanding the concept of parameters and shared parameters. We don't have to go off the deep end on them, but I want you to walk away understanding them, as well as talking about what do you do if you accidentally delete that little shared parameter file. So welcome. As usual, the chat's going. I'm going to do my best to absolutely try to keep up. We always have a fantastic and active chat. It's just me today, no guests, so I'm going to do my best to keep up with it. Again, thank you for joining me. I'm super excited for this. Let's just jump into it real quick. Again, feel free to ask questions along the way. Let's jump into it. I'll sort of set the context. There's a new segment for those of you who have been following along via email. Subscribe to my email channel, where I'm going to be doing a quick Revit tip of the week submitted by you guys. So I've already selected one, got a lot of submissions, and so let's set the context. We'll jump into the tip of the week, and then we'll dig in really, really deep. So thanks, guys. So let's do this now. So as far as shared parameters are concerned, what I like to do is sort of start with an understanding of the type of parameters we have in Revit, and what their purpose is. And so this diagram that you're seeing here is actually, by the way, if you're interested, this is a program called app.diagrams.net. I think it's just called diagrams.net is the name of the program, but it's a free program to use. You can save your files on the cloud as well as here. It's freaking awesome. It's great for flow charting and doing all kinds of great stuff. But oh yes, thank you guys. Everyone's saying congrats on the baby. Yes, thank you. Her name is Adeline. She's turning 4 months old. Actually, since we have it on the screen, I'll quickly show you. You guys can see these are the kiddos. So Adeline's on the left. She's turning 4 months now, and Jacob's on the right. He is going to be turning 3 years old now. He just started preschool 3 days a week last week, so it's been fun. It's been a great time. Okay, so when talking about shared parameters, I like to put it in the concept or the context of why they exist. What is so important about them. And so to me, when I look at a diagram like this, there's sort of two things when it comes to parameters that determine which ones you use, or just sort of give you an idea of the features of each. And it's really, does it need to be in a schedule, or does it need to be in tag, or does it need to be in both? And so, when you think about that as a starting point, that can give you sort of this list we have down here, which is what each parameter does. So first, let's just talk about each parameter type. And so I'm going to roll down to the bottom here, and let me get all this stuff out of the way. You don't need to see that or that. So really, there's 5 parameter types in Revit. There's system parameters, shared parameters, project parameters, global parameters, and family parameters. And the key is understanding the limitations of each when it comes to what it is you're trying to do. And so the system parameter, you could see, can actually be used in schedules and tags. System parameter, a perfect example of that is the type mark. Some people don't realize that's a system parameter, but it's a system parameter, and you can use that in a schedule and a tag. The shared parameter comes into play when you need a schedule and a tag. The project parameter can be scheduled but it cannot be tagged. And this is the project parameter and shared parameter is probably one that burn people the most with understanding. The global parameter can't be scheduled and tagged, and then family parameters, which is when you add a parameter within a family, it can't be scheduled and tagged either. And what I'm going to do throughout this episode, as well as feed off of your comments and whatnot, is I'm going to show you an example of where and why shared parameters come into play, and hopefully that'll give you a better understanding of exactly what they are. Not to mention, that evil, scary shared parameter file, that it's not really that evil and scary. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to jump into some real practical examples. But before we do that, I did want to introduce the new segment that some of you may have heard of based on my email, and that is the Big Bad BIM Tip of the Week. Super exciting. And what's really exciting about it too is this segment is brought to you by Enscape. And I know a lot of you know about Enscape, but if you don't know about Enscape and you've been following along to the live streams, definitely check out the previous live streams where I talk about Enscape. But it is a real-time 3D viewer for Revit. Phenomenal. I've been using it for over 5 years, and definitely something worth looking into and looking at my previous videos to see for design and renderings and so on and so forth. So head on over to enscape.bimafterdark.com. And you'll get a free 14-day trial, as well as they'll know that you've heard about them here. So if you haven't tried Enscape yet, now's the time to try it for sure. But yeah, so thanks for sponsoring this segment, Enscape, and also thank you guys for submitting tips. So those of you who are on the email list, initially I was going to have the guests on this show do tips, and then I was also going to have myself just pick tips. But I thought it'd be really cool to ask you guys, what is your favorite sort of aha moment or facepalm moment in Revit? Not necessarily 100% related to the content of the day, but just to give us something cool going through it. So this tip actually came from Peter. I don't have your last name, Peter, so I apologize, but you'll know the tip once I show you. And if you see Peter, if you see this tip and you're watching this, make sure to email me, let me know, and I'll send you a free t-shirt. So submit your tips, shoot me an email, and you guys will get free t-shirts. But this tip is really cool. Essentially, what it comes down to is in a schedule. So we have a schedule here that's a furniture schedule, and as you can see, there's a count and a cost parameter or a cost column here. So I don't know if you guys know this, but you cannot use the count parameter in a formula, which can be challenging. Let's say I want to know the total cost of this. What would I do? I would probably go in here, and maybe I uncheck itemize everything, and I sort it by type. Let's say family and type. So now you can see I have total counts. I have 6 of this at $150, etc. Right? So if I wanted to, I go in here and I can say total cost. So I'm going to make a calculated value, total cost, and I'm going to say count times cost. And I press enter. Look what happens. It says the field count cannot be used in formulas. So you can't actually use the count of the objects in a formula, which can be challenging depending on what you're trying to do in Revit schedules. But this tip from Peter, who I believe he sent the link, I think it came from Revit Cat, which is Tim Waldock. He was on the show. I don't remember the episode. I apologize, Tim, but I will post it in the show notes. Instead of using the count, what you do is you make a calculated value, and I'm going to call this one count new, and the formula, you just put the number 1, and you click OK. Now you've made a separate count column. If I click OK, there's one thing you got to do to make it work is you have to make it calculate total. See how it just says 1 there? So if I go to formatting and I say count new, calculates totals, click OK, you'll see now it says 6, 1, 8, etc. And now if I go in here, I can create a formula called total cost, and I can make this cost times count new. Click OK. Now I can actually do it, right? And then I go to formatting and make sure that one's totaling too. So total cost needs to be calculating totals, and click OK. And there you have it. So 6 times 150 is $900. So awesome tip, really cool tip. Thank you, Peter, for submitting it. So the trick there is you make a calculated column or calculated value in your schedule, and you just make the formula the number 1. And then all of a sudden you can start doing formula and math using the count parameter, even though it's a fake count parameter. So thank you, Peter. Shoot me an email and I'll send you a free Lock Noob or a t-shirt. Anyone who has an awesome tip like that you want to share on the next 15 or so episodes, feel free to shoot me an email. If I choose your tip, you get a free t-shirt. And thank you, Enscape, again for sponsoring this segment. Head on over to enscape.bimafterdark.com. Okay, sweet, cool. I don't know how many of you guys knew that, but when he sent that message in, I actually forgot that you can't use the count, and I ran into that before, and it drove me nuts. But awesome tip, really cool tip. So thank you so much, guys. Looks like a couple folks are have used Enscape, so fantastic, awesome. All right, so back to shared parameters. So as I mentioned, there's the multiple types of parameters, and the only 2 parameters that you can schedule and tag are shared and system. System are system parameters. You can't make new system parameters as much as you'd want to, or maybe you don't want to, but you can't make new ones. So if you need a parameter, if you need a value to be tagged and scheduled, your only option is a shared parameter. Okay, so the way I'm going to sort of run through this is I'm going to walk through an example of how someone may approach this and realize that or realize the value of what a shared parameter is, but also realize the concept of what a shared parameter is. Okay, so the reason you need a shared parameter as opposed to utilizing a family parameter is parameters themselves have unique identifiers. So let me walk through this so you guys can see exactly what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna use the sample project because I think it's just the easiest one to use when we're talking a little more general like this. So I have, if I go to level 1, this project, you guys all know this sample project. So if I have this piece of furniture here, which is a chair, okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a project parameter. So I'm just going to add, I'm going to go to manage, and I'm going to say project parameters. I'm going to add one. Of course, I tested it on the other monitor, so I apologize, guys. I'm going to add one called, let's call this one order number. So for some reason, we're looking at order number. And I'm sorry if I dropped off for a second. I don't know if I did, but I just accidentally refreshed YouTube. Okay, so I'm going to call this one order number. I'm going to make it an instance, and I'm going to go under here, and I'm going to say furniture. Okay, so I just made a parameter, a text parameter that's an instance called order number, and it's linked to furniture, and it's a project parameter. So globally, it exists in this project, and I've assigned it to the furniture category. So if I click OK, and I select this, you'll see order number is right here. Okay, so I can give it an order number. I can say 1002, whatever, .1, I don't care, whatever. So that's an order number here. This guy has its own order number, 2002, whatever. Okay. Now, if I go to my furniture schedule, I can schedule that because you remember project parameters are schedulable, right? So let's add order number. Click OK. Let's undo the sorting for a second. So we itemize everything. Okay, so you can see there's our 2 order numbers there. So it's schedulable, right? But now if I want to see that order number in the tag, right? In a tag, a furniture tag, can I do that? And so I'm going to go to tag by category. I'm going to place a furniture tag, a couple furniture tags around here. And as you can see, obviously this tag doesn't have the information. If I go into edit type, it doesn't have the information. If I go to edit the family of the tag, it doesn't have, right, the order number. Okay, I can go in here and add a project parameter or a family parameter or whatever, but that's still not gonna give me the ability to do it. So I'm like, okay, so what if I added order number to the family instead of the project? So I'm gonna select here. I'm gonna go to edit family. And oh, I'm sorry. I just saw the chat, And Julio just asked, how did I get my ribbon dark gray? And you know what's hilarious is I knew someone was going to ask this question, if not more than one. So that gray ribbon bar, and because I knew you were going to ask this question, I made sure that Aaron and the Parallax team knew that this was probably going to come up, and they actually gave me the links to hook you guys up with this. This is an add-in from Parallax team that lets you create a darker theme, which is pretty awesome. And it also gives you the colored tabs. So it's colored tabs plus or something like that it's called. I don't remember. Sorry, guys. Neat UI. I don't remember what he calls it. But if you head on over to plax.bimafterdark.com, there's a free trial, I believe, of that for you guys. So I'll post it in there. So that's how I have the dark screen, and that's how I have the dark UI, and that's also how I have the tab view. So thanks, John Pearson and Parallax team, for making this, because I love dark themes. I mean, my browser or my Explorer is even dark, as you can see. Everything is dark themed on here. Okay, so now I'm in the family environment now. Okay, so I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna create a parameter called order number. And I'm going to make it a text, make it an instance, go like this, and there we go, click OK. So now I'm in the family, I made order number, I load it back into the project. Now when I select this chair, oh, wait a minute. Hopefully you guys see that. Huh. I have two of the same name parameters. Kind of weird, right? And this is exactly why shared parameters exist. So a parameter in Revit, whether you care to know or not, has its own unique identifier, okay? Even though the name that you see here of the parameter is the same, the unique identifier, the object according to Revit, is not. So it's confusing, because why can I have the same thing? Well, because no one told Revit that this was the same parameter, okay? Revit doesn't know. So in the family environment, there's an order number that has a unique identifier. In the project environment, there's an order number that has a unique identifier, right? So when you put the two together, Revit just sees the two unique identifiers and says, all right, they're different things. This is where shared parameters come into play. The shared parameter file and the shared parameter itself, right? The shared parameter file, I should say, is the definition. It is what tells Revit, hey, this parameter is the same as this one and this one and this one, no matter what file or family or project you're in. And that is where it's key. And that's what allows you to tag and schedule it. So, because when you think about this, right, the tag is also a family. So if I'm going into edit family for this tag, now I have a new family file, a .rfa file, that I build parameters in. So even if I went in here and I created a new parameter, project parameter, and I an instance parameter, and I called it order number, and I'm gonna make it an instance, call it day, okay. I load this into my project. If I select this, oops, I didn't load it incorrectly. That's okay. Won't worry about that. But you get the idea. The idea is that the parameters can exist with the same name, but Revit doesn't know they're the same thing. The other thing is this order number from the family, this is not schedulable, right? So if I put 3000 in here and I go to my furniture schedule. Okay, so furniture schedule right here. If I said I want to add my second order number, right? It's not here. It doesn't exist in this list because that is a family parameter. That is not a shared parameter. That's not a project parameter. It's a family parameter. I created it in the family environment. It exists in that family environment, and that's where it was created. Okay. So what if we want to connect all of those dots, right? That is where the shared parameter comes into play. We want to connect all those dots. We know that the order number, okay, the order number for this chair is going to want to exist in the chair family, in the tag, in a schedule, and so on and so forth. Okay. So that's where the shared parameters come into play. So how do we create a shared parameter? Well, the first thing we need to do, I'm actually going to undo all those. I'm going to undo all those. Here we go. Try to undo all those parameter adds that I did. Let me see. Just so that we don't have the multiple parameters in here. Okay, so we have that there. If I select this, there's no order number. Perfect. Okay. So we're going to use this order number as our example. And so we're going to use the shared parameter file as the I guess dictionary is an okay word, but really it's the program that's telling Revit, hey, I want, this parameter is going to be the same in this, and this. Hey, Revit, don't make it 2 unique IDs. This is the same parameter. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is actually make the shared parameter file. Not going to get down the road of managing shared parameters files. Should I already have one? All that stuff. I'm going to go with the idea that you're not working in a place that has this all set up yet, and you're just trying to understand the concept. Okay, we can go down that road at another time. So I'm going to go to shared parameters, and you'll notice, hey, the shared parameter file does not exist. I was messing around before, so obviously I've been messing around with different shit. So initially, already Revit's like, oh my God, there's nothing telling me anything about shared parameters. So we need to tell it. Okay, so I'm going to click close here, and the dialog is going to pop up that says, okay, well, there's no shared parameter file yet, so I can't actually create anything. Notice how this is all gray. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to click create, and we're just going to make a new shared parameter file. As far as, and I'm going to call this BIM bad live shared new, click save. As far as sort of the management side of things is concerned, just ideally you're working at a place where someone is paying attention to these things, and if you're the person doing it, obviously a shared parameter file is very important, because when you think about what I just told you, this shared parameter file is the file that you can use to tell Revit this is the same as that, as far as between files and between families. However, it's not the end all be all if you lose it. Obviously, some people have spent a lot of time creating these and so on, so I get that. But long story short, what I wanted to say is a good practice if you don't have a shared parameter file on your network that was created for you or you created, etc., is to make sure that you have a common shared parameter file, kind of like you would a materials folder that moves with you from computer to computer, right? For the most part, unless it gets really ugly, then you might want to ditch it. But that's sort of the way I approach it. Is if I'm locally working on my stuff and I know the deal, if you're a sole practitioner out there, etc., you want to create a shared parameters file. Don't just create this. This is usually what people do, is they just create a new shared parameters file every time they're doing something that needs it, and then that file just disappears into the ether and no one ever sees it again. That's not necessarily a best practice. I would say at a minimum, your best practice is to make sure that similar to your custom materials texture folder, I would say you make sure there's a shared parameters file that you can move from project to project or computer to computer and so on and so forth. This way you can point Revit to it and you always know what's happening there, and you can just add to it and so on and so forth. So hopefully that's helpful. I know some of the BIM managers out there might be cringing a little bit when I'm talking about the whole shared parameters file, but that's okay. I just wanted to sort of get it out there, especially for like sole practitioners who maybe haven't really thought about this too much. That's a great way to set it up. Is you have your custom textures folder called materials or whatever that always moves with you from computer to computer. Shared parameters file is a great one to do that. Okay, so I created a new file just on my desktop, doing the one-off thing that I just said you shouldn't do. And now because I created the file, I can create a new group. And so for this one, and again, this is going to be place to place and project to project or firm to firm. How you group them and how you name them is one thing. I usually like to use categories as the groups. Essentially, that's just me. But again, it all depends. So now I made a group called furniture, and I'm going to make a new parameter called order number. Now here's the funny thing, right? All we're defining right now, so order number, common, length, and okay. All we're defining is that parameter and that parameter type, right? So all we did was say this is the name of it. It's a text parameter, and that's it. right? We haven't actually assigned it to categories or anything else yet. It's just now it's a definition in this folder that tells Revit, hey, when this person places this parameter from this file, this is what it is. It's this unique ID. So now anything I do, if I create a brand new family, if I edit a family, if I create a project parameter, anything I do, I can point to this, and that's what I use to generate my parameter definitions. I point to a category, whatever. Now Revit knows, hey, I know that this order number, even though you created it in the project environment, if I'm going the same as that, which is the same as that, which is the same as that, right? Yeah. So I just created the shared parameter definition essentially, right? It's called order number, hasn't been assigned anything. So I click OK. Like, all right, so if I click here, it's not there yet, right? Because all it is a shared parameter sitting in this file. We haven't told Revit, okay, take this now and apply it to this. So first what we're going to apply it to is let's apply it to a project parameter. So I'm going to go to project parameters. I'm going to add one. And now instead of clicking where it says project parameter, I'm going to click shared, right? And I'm going to select that shared folder. I'm going to click select. I'm going to select that parameter, which is called order number, and click OK. So notice I can't fill out any of this stuff. I can't fill out the name, the discipline, or the type of parameter. Why? Because we already did that, right? That exists inside the inside that definition. I can group it after the fact, which is kind of nice, I guess. Graphically group it wherever it makes sense for your project, right? But now I can assign it. I can assign it, right, to a category. Okay. I also just realized. Sorry, I just realized that the floating watermark of me is like right, or the logo is like right there. It's pretty funny. So if I go like this, I'm like inside the Revit Kid logo. I should probably move that out of the way. Let's move myself to this side. Why didn't I even say anything? Isn't that distracting to you guys? I was like half in the Revit Kid logo and half out. Okay. Okay. So now I'm applying it to a category. So I'm going to apply it to just furniture. Notice you can apply it to multiple categories. It is what it is, whatever you wanted to do. So I'm applying it to furniture, right? It's an instance parameter. Now so now I've told Revit to make this parameter the same way I did before. Remember, I just went to project parameters and did my thing. Apologize. By the way, I know hopefully you guys all have cocktails depending on where you are in the world. This is actually fresh brewed green tea, iced green tea with steel dust vodka in it. Because that's what I think of when my wife makes fresh green tea is let's put vodka in it. So just like I did with the project parameter, now you'll notice that this exists right here as order number, the same as the project parameter did. Okay. Oh, you guys don't see the logo? Oh, okay. Never mind then. I guess I moved my head for no reason. That's really weird. In my preview of it, I see a little teeny logo on the bottom right. Interesting. Okay. Anyways, so if I click this, right, now we're kind of back to what I originally showed you. I added a project parameter. This project parameter, I can add 1000.3.3, press enter. And then if I go to my furniture schedule, I can add it. So I can go in here and I can add order number, because remember you can schedule shared parameters. Okay, there it is there. These are instances, so I can type them in over here. Of course, that was part of a group. Lovely, Jeff. 1005 here. Okay, right? So now that I have this as a shared parameter, I have all I need for the schedule, but now how do we add it to the tag, right? How do we add this thing to the tag? Well, now if we go in the tag family, we can add a label. So I just went to the top and clicked add label. And you'll notice it's not here yet because we haven't told this family now to load that shared parameter. But instead of just saying new parameter in the family environment, we're going to say new parameter and tell Revit to point to the shared. So now Revit knows, oh, even though I'm in a family, right? We just told Revit that this parameter is the same as that parameter. Right, so let's just add. So I just hit the little add parameter there. I'm going to select my shared parameter file. If it's deleted, we'll go through the, if you're missing the file, we'll go through that in a second. So I'm just going to click order number, click OK. Okay, and now there's order number. I could add this here, click OK. There's my order number now. And remember, this is now from the shared parameter. So we pulled that information into the shared parameter. And I see a bunch in the chat. Don't worry, I'm gonna check your guys' questions in 1 second. I'm gonna load this in, Click OK. Overwrite values. And now look at this, right? Now my tag is showing whatever information I put in this shared parameter. So if I type in here and I say 2000, the tag shows 2000. If I go to the schedule shows 2000. So we've connected all of the dots for Revit, right? We told Revit this is the same as this, which is the same as that. And that essentially is what a shared parameter is. That is why it exists. System parameters actually work the same way because Revit already knows this is that, which is that, which is that. But that's because they're baked in there. You can't change them, right? And so, how can Revit know how many custom parameters you're going to be creating and how to connect the two? And that's why a shared parameter file exists. It exists to connect all the dots for Revit, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to take a quick second to check the chat before we move into the shared parameter file itself. But we got a whole bunch of stuff here. Let's see. Some people were cringing when I was talking about the shared parameter file. I'm sure. Check your Revit.ini file. Awesome. Doesn't look like there's too many questions, which is awesome. Just people talking to each other, which is always great. Do you have a company policy with network controlled paths? I think not. James, I'm not sure if you're asking me or just anyone in general. So we don't have a network policy like that, but it is what it is. Awesome. All right. Looks like those are all the questions. So, and Jim Baldwin, that's a great point. Shared parameters are customizable system parameters. Yeah, right. That is exactly what's happening here. You're giving yourself the ability to customize a parameter but then also connect that. To me, the concept that I really want you to take away from today is that concept of think of parameter as its own unique object in Revit with its own unique ID, and we use the shared parameter to connect the dots for Revit. So I can go into another project, load that in, same exact thing. I can build a new custom family and load in that and push it in, and all of a sudden you have the information, right? Awesome. Okay, can you input the order number directly to the tag? Yes, 100%. So again, because all this information is linked now, right? And I'll actually, let's do this. Let's tab views here so we have all this stuff open. So that this way you can kind of see the schedule update at the same time as everything else updates. So yeah, the other thing is you could input the information into the tag and it updates everywhere. So if I type 2000 here, you notice it updated there. And if I click the family, it updates right there, right? So yeah, you can also input the information in the tag because remember, it's all the same thing, right? And again, sort of going back to the whole type mark, this guy right here, this is a system parameter by default, right? The type mark. So I can type it in there and notice it updates here the same way, right? That was a type parameter, not an instance parameter, but you get the idea. So again, that is exactly what that is. It's the same exact thing, just we're able to customize it, which is always really cool. Awesome. Hey Steven, what's going on? Okay, sweet, right? Pretty cool. So hopefully for those of you that perhaps are new to Revit, or maybe even just haven't dealt with shared parameters and what it is whatever it is that you do on a daily basis, I hope that concept helps. Again, the concept of connecting all the dots, and also thinking about some mentality, or some people may think, okay, well, if a shared parameter lets me tag and schedule it, why would I ever even use the other parameter types, right? And that's a good question. And the truth is, it depends. But unless you need to tag or schedule the item, there's really not a huge reason not to. And so I mean, again, that can be up for debate, but that's something that comes up from time to time, and I'm sure you're thinking to yourself when you saw that other graphic that I have there. So real quick, before we take any more questions and sort of move on a little bit, I did want to talk about the shared parameter file and what you can do If it's missing, deleted. If you moved computers, I don't know, whatever. But this is again one of the biggest issues, with not understanding shared parameters in general, but with this process is usually, and I'll say I'm guilty of it in the past. I have been. If you don't have a standard location for it and you're just trying to get something done, you might just create a shared parameter for that option for whatever you're doing, and then forget about it. Maybe it was in your desktop, you clean it up 2 months from now, and then it's gone forever. Which is obviously not great practice, but the cool thing about these shared parameters is once you apply them to a project or a family, they're stored in the project or family. So you can actually kind of recover them, which is really neat. So if you delete your shared parameter file, and you want to you want to make this connection happen. So maybe how about let's do this. Let's undo. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to undo all that. Let's undo the tag family. Not sure if I'm going to be able to. Project parameters, load family, edit schedule. Hopefully I didn't go too far back. Let's see. Okay, so we undid the tag family. Do I still have the shared parameter? I still have a shared parameter. So if I go under manage and shared parameters, right? Here's our shared parameters file. Okay, so let's say we open this. I'm going to go to my desktop and I'm going to delete that parameter. So I just deleted our shared parameter file. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so now if I go in my project, so remember, that's loaded in there. It's loaded in there, right? But the shared parameter file is deleted. So the file that tells Revit, right, in another family, what this object is gone. So if I went into edit family and said, okay, now I want to create that label again, and I click plus here and I go select, shared parameter file is missing. So without that shared parameter file, guess what? I can't make that connection anymore with this object. So initially you might be like, oh my God, I'm screwed. What am I going to do? Fortunately, the shared parameter actually does get stored in your project to some extent. And so this is what you need to do to recover it. So if you've never done this before, I'm showing you how to recover a shared parameter. So let's go under manage, shared parameters, and you can see it's going to yell at me and say there's no file. So the first thing you need to do is you need to create a new shared parameter file to recover it too. Otherwise, it wouldn't know how to export the information, okay? So let me click close here. And notice I have to create a new one. So I'm going to create a new one called bad live new file, final, and click new. So now I have a new shared parameter file sitting on my desktop, and Revit's pointing to it. So Revit's happy with that. If I wanted to, I can make new shared parameters and so on and so forth, right? So let me click OK here. Now, if I go to my project parameters, notice the order number is still there. And remember, this order number was created from a shared parameter file, right? So Revit, we gave it that definition from the shared parameter file. So if I go to modify, check this out. It says Revit remembers it's a shared parameter, right? It's grayed out. I can't do anything with it. But you'll notice there's a little checkbox here or a button here for export. So Revit knows this was a shared parameter, and now we're pointing to a shared parameter file. So Revit says, sure, export me. So if I click export, you'll see what it says is the parameter will be exported to the current shared parameter file in the parameter group exported parameters. So it does put it in its own group called exported parameters, which can be kind of annoying to some people, but it is what it is. I'm going to click OK, click OK, click OK, because we're in Revit and we like clicking OK. I'm going to go back to shared parameters, and you'll notice we have a group called exported parameters, and it's called order number. So we've now just redefined, actually, we just took that definition and put it back into a new file, which now means if I wanted to, I can go into this tag family and do exactly what we did before. Click label, click add, go to select. There's my order number. Okay, okay, okay. Ta-da. right? We have order number back. And if I load this in, guess what? It's linked to the information still. Revit knows this connects to that, which connects to that, and we are golden. So there you have it. What happens when you delete your shared parameter file? You can get it back. I do believe there are a couple add-ins that will batch export and control that. And before I did this live stream, I did spend a little bit of time digging through Dynamo stuff to see if you can do it yourself, and I just didn't get far enough to be comfortable showing you anything I came up with. But there are some add-ins out there that appear to be pretty good with batch exporting the shared parameter file. So let me take a quick gander at some of the chat here. You must know what you're doing or you will cause issues. Editing in the text editor gives you access to hidden ones, though. Oh boy. John and Aaron are wreaking havoc over there. So I told myself I was not going to open the notepad file for the shared parameter in this live stream, and I think I'm going to stick to that for today. Aaron, you're coming on the show this season, so maybe when you come on, we could just touch on that. But I refuse to, for the sake of the concept that we're trying to get through today. But yes, I'm not going to go down that. All right, let's see what else we have in here. How can you keep your properties browser free from cluttered parameters? Martin, I'm not really sure what you mean, but the when you create parameters, the way you would want to clean up your properties is exactly what you're seeing on here, which is they have these groupings, extents, underlay. Well, that's not a great example because that's for the view, but identity, data, phasing, dimensions, right? You can use all these when you create parameters. And even when I create a project parameter, if I go up here and say project parameter, when I add these right here, Martin, these are all the built-in groups that you have. So you do have a lot of options for trying to sort of sort those a little better. And I guess in theory you could think about naming conventions for sorting too, but the groups are pretty helpful. So pay attention to what you're choosing your grouping for your parameters under. So good question, Martin, by the way. Let's see. Keep multiple backups. Yes, James, keep multiple backups. But as you saw, you can get them out. And I haven't dig deep into the add-ins for. I've never had to recover gigantic shared parameters before, so I haven't had to go there. Amazing for occupancy stuff. Yes, definitely. Anthony Harwood, great point there. So for the noobs, there isn't a live link to the shared parameter file. So that's a great point that I was trying to sort of get at with the whole deleting it. So Revit's not consistently looking at this file for you, right? And that's why the parameters exist in Revit. So it's just the shared parameter file is just holding the definition for Revit, right? And then you're pulling it in and creating a parameter for it. So that's just good to know because I guess if you edited the text, that. But that's why you're able to delete the file and keep using Revit, and you don't even notice it happening. That's why most people don't even know what Revit shared parameters are, because they may be in files where everything's set up and they don't have to worry about it because all those things are built into the template. So great point there. Jeff, show the GUIDs. You guys really want me to open the damn notebook file, don't you? I'm gonna stick to my laurels and not do it today. I'm gonna do it. We'll see. Maybe if enough people bother me enough, maybe I will. But I'm all right. We'll open it. Why not? Okay. You guys, there's too many questions about it. I'll open it. Okay. So I guess if anything, the only reason I'm opening it is because to who mentioned it? James point. If I open the shared parameter file, here it is, guys. I opened the shared parameter file. Right? You'll notice there's a category in the shared parameters file called the GUID. For anyone who doesn't know what that is, that's Revit's identifier. It's your identification. It's what the database, every element has a number and letter combination that tells Revit this is a unique identifier. This is a unique element, I should say. So you'll notice the parameter itself has a GUID, and that to me is the key. The key is understanding that even when I'm in a family and I create a new parameter called length, right? That parameter is given a GUID. Right, and that to me, that's the key. And you'll see, right, the very first thing it says up there is do not edit manually. So do not edit manually. You guys happy I opened the text file? Let's see. The make Jeff show the GUIDs is the coupon code for the dark mode. I don't think that's true, Aaron, but if it is, then you guys know now what it is. All right, awesome. I'm just double checking to see if there's any more questions on there. You guys are awesome. This is great. So Shane just asked a question. I'll quickly hit that. If you start a new project without a shared parameter file built into the template, do you have to load the file into the project? Is it what you're saying? So that Shane is a great question, and that's exactly what I'm talking about with the template and how it's built and how people actually may never even know that the shared parameter file exists. If you have a template built and the families, the families and all of that stuff already have the shared parameter link created, right? So what I just did, if I save this as a template, then no, you actually don't need the shared parameter file. You need the shared parameter file when you want to make that connection again. So if you build a new tag or a new family tag or whatever it is, right? And you want to make that connection with an existing parameter in the file. So let's say that that furniture tag I just created. Maybe I made a different furniture system tag, custom from scratch or something like that for a different project. Then in that new furniture tag, you need the shared parameter file to tell Revit this is the parameter. So it's a yes and no question, or yes and no answer technically. And with a well-built template where you never have to add any more content, in theory, yeah, it's already, all those connections have been made for Revit. But having that already there, obviously, as you can see, makes it a lot easier to add and modify content. Awesome question, Shane, by the way. Do not edit. Challenge accepted. Go for it, Eric. Okay. Thanks, Aaron. Mad respect for me talking about para. I have to say, this is episode 56, right? So if you guys haven't seen, go back and look at live.bimafterdark.com and watch all the 55 episodes. This was the most nervous I've ever been for an episode. This is a hard subject to figure out how to talk about for 49 minutes and also make it hopefully comprehensible. So thank you guys for sticking around, and I hope it helped. I really do. I try my best to make these things understandable. And John, you just mentioned it. John Pearson just said, absolutely worth noting that you pretty much never need to view the scary stuff. Yes. And that's the whole idea. And that's what I was trying to get at is understanding what it is, and the concept of it to me is the important part, but hopefully you never have to actually manage a shared parameter file necessarily to the point of like managing across large swaths of people type of thing. Let's see, MJ just asked, do you keep one shared parameter file for all projects to point to, or do you make a copy of the file for each new project? Depends. I would say your best bet would be, as a standard for the office, would be you have one set of shared parameters that you use for that template for your office, and if you needed to modify things, you have it there. But again, it all gets built and saved into your templates and files, so it's not like you ever lose it. If you needed to make that connection in one place, it's actually not that bad, right? If you need to make the connection again, 30 times, that's where it can be a little more challenging. Let's see, trying to wrap it up here. What do we got? Parameter file was big in the last company. James made a point to lock down the parameter file. Yes, I guess depending on what you're doing, and I think what you mean is making sure that people can't overwrite it or something, or making it write protective, giving permissions. The downfall is anyone who actually knows how to use it and needs to create a new parameter or something may run into issues. But As you can see, and as we just mentioned, this, ideally in an ideal situation, there's not many people who need to even know that this thing exists as far as a shared parameter file is. You as a Revit user, regardless of what level or what you do with the company, you should understand what a shared parameter is, because, understanding why you can't schedule something, understanding why this dot isn't connected to that dot is the important part. That's the key, right? Anything where you can think of where you need to show tags and schedules and all that information together, this is where all those dots get connected. Awesome. All right. I think we hit most of the big questions here. One last question from Scoured. Hey Scoured, good to see you again, buddy. Scoured was a regular viewer a couple months ago for the first 55 episodes. I encountered manufacturers, 2 different families. They mix up the value with another and makes it hard to get rid of in a project. So the manufacturer had something funky going on with their shared parameter file. I could see where that's an issue. But I don't know how it would clash. If it's its own shared parameter, it has its own GUID. It shouldn't necessarily clash, unless what you're saying is it has the same name but 2 different GUIDs, even though they're both shared parameters, which could happen too, right? Because it's 2 different parameters. That might be what it is. Awesome. And Anime Wolf Kid just mentioned, it's good to note that you can now put shared parameters into key schedules. Yes, you can. Good point there. So that's helpful if you guys are key schedule users with your details to be able to connect all those dots that we're talking about. Awesome. Okay. I think with that, I'm probably going to wrap it unless there's any dire questions. You guys are amazing. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I'm back Thursday nights, 9 p.m. I've already got 15 episodes lined up every week. There may be 1 or 2 that are going to be at a different time based on the guests, but new guests, returning guests, new content, new topics. Super excited for this. I'm excited to be back. I enjoy this so much. If you want to check out all the previous episodes, head on over to live.bimafterdark.com. Thank you, Enscape, for sponsoring the tip of the day today. Thank you guys for showing up and talking about parameters with me. And I'll see you guys next week. Feel free to subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this here on YouTube. We're at like 40 something thousand. We're pretty close to 50, so let's bump ourselves up to 50, which would be pretty wild. And hit me up on Twitter at the Revit Kid. You guys are amazing. If you have a tip of the day you want to submit, make sure you email me, Jeff at the Revit Kid. And with that, I'll bid you all adieu. Have an awesome night, and I'll see you guys soon.